What's good, everybody? It is your boy FiveWarsDeac, and we are at episode 100. We have made it to the century mark of the Solomon Daniels series. I can't believe it. Solomon, give us a round of applause. Give us a round. There you go, my brother. We have made it 100 episodes, and if you had told me when I started this series that, yo, this is gonna be your most successful series on the channel. It's gonna be the series that gets you monetized, I don't know if I would have believed you. I don't know if I would have believed you, but what's happened is Solomon's story has been so interesting. The games have been so entertaining. I was actually just watching some old episodes last night, and I can see why people enjoy the series. Everybody that's been with me from the beginning, that's been with Solomon throughout this whole journey, and the people that have binge watched. And you know what's crazy? The very first episode where Solomon goes through the combine and he gets drafted, all of that remains one of the top performing videos each month. Every month, YouTube sends me a recap of what's been going on the last 28 days, and the first episode of Solomon Daniels is always at the top of the list. So people are always starting the series. I don't know if they always finish it and get through season 5, which we're about to start season 6. All right, I guess technically this is the beginning of season 6. I don't know if people always get to the end, but I do know they start. And that's why there's the playlist. You can watch the instant classics. That's a playlist. You can see that at the top of the screen. And then there is the best of Solomon Daniels. So if you want to see Solomon Daniels at his absolute best, and you want to see the reasons why this man is going to the Hall of Fame, and he's a 99 overall, and the defending Super Bowl Kansas City Chiefs said, we need you on our team, you can watch that playlist. So with this being episode 100, we're going to talk about some numbers today. We're going to talk numbers. We're also going to answer some frequently asked questions. And if you have any more questions, you can leave those in the comments, and I will reply to your comment with an answer if I don't already answer that question in this video. Firstly, let's talk about number 37. So Solomon Daniels will not be wearing number 37 for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason why is because it would be totally distasteful and disrespectful to the legacy of Joe Delaney. If you do not know who Joe Delaney is, Joe Delaney played running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, wore number 37, and I believe he set 4 franchise records in his time with the Chiefs, and those records stood for more than 20 years. Joe Delaney died trying to save the lives of 3 children who were drowning in a water hole. He could not swim, and despite his inability to swim, he dove into that water hole trying to save those children and ended up dying. And it was incredibly tragic, and 3,000 people attended his funeral. I mean, it was a death that rocked a lot of people. His community in Louisiana, the Kansas City Chiefs, they wore a patch on their jerseys in his honor. He is in the Ring of Honor, and nobody has worn the number 37 since his passing. So because of that, Solomon will not be wearing number 37. Solomon will be number 22 for the Kansas City Chiefs. If he ever plays for somebody else, he might go back to 37, or he might keep 22. But Solomon will be 22. It's easy. Solomon wore number 4 in college when he was at South Carolina State. He was number 4, and 7 minus 3 is 4, and 2 plus 2 is 4. It's also an ode to some of the best corners he ever played with. Solomon played with Nate Clements for a couple of seasons, played with Dominique Foxworth for a couple of seasons, and both of those guys wore number 22, and Solomon got along with those guys great. He loves those guys. They keep in contact, some of his lifelong friends in the NFL. So it's an ode to them. It also equals 4. So Solomon Daniels, number 22 for the Kansas City Chiefs at free safety. There's your look at it. Also, if you remember, Solomon Daniels is named after my brother Daniel and my cousin Solomon. And my brother Daniel wore number 22 when he played youth football. So it's also an ode to that. So 22 just made a lot of sense. So we're going to go with 22. That is kind of the story with the Chiefs. Now, some people have said, why was he able to wear 37 with the Niners? Because number 37 is actually retired in San Francisco. Well, this is why. Jimmy Johnson NFL or Pro Football Hall of Famer. I should say there is no NFL Hall of Fame, it's just Pro Football Hall of Fame. But Jimmy Johnson, Pro Football Hall of Famer, Olympian, incredible athlete, played defensive back for the San Francisco 49ers. His number 37 jersey was retired in 1977. Solomon was drafted to the Niners in 2007, 30 years after the retirement. Well, for the 30th anniversary, Jimmy Johnson said, I'm going to allow somebody to wear number 37. So here comes this safety out of South Carolina State. And Solomon just so happened to really impress Jimmy Johnson. And Solomon proved him right. He did. Solomon proved Jimmy right and said, young man, I want you to wear number 37 and I hope you do right by it. And I think Solomon did. To the best of his ability, Solomon did right by the number 37. Unfortunately, after 2 seasons, Solomon thought the grass was greener on the other side, went to the Denver Broncos, and I mean, he became a much better player, but the Broncos obviously did not win the Super Bowl, which Solomon really thought he was going to win the Super Bowl in Denver. It just didn't happen. Either way, that is why Solomon wore 37 in San Francisco, obviously carried that on to Denver, but now will have to wear a different number in Kansas City. Now let's get to some of these frequently asked questions. Number one, what difficulty am I playing this on? First of all, I covered this in like the first episode. The very first episode of Solomon Daniels, I said this is on all Madden. It's like the first thing I said. If Solomon was so OP and was such an unstoppable force, he wouldn't have struggled his rookie season, and he wouldn't still have struggles today. There's some things that Solomon's been beaten. You know what I mean? Y'all got to remember, LT broke his ankles bad. The Lions scored a touchdown on this man. I mean, it wasn't good. He gave up that touchdown against the Packers as well. These are things that just happened in his 5th season. It ain't like it's really easy. You know what I mean? This mode is not easy, man. It's not easy. You get better the more you play it, the more you do it, you're gonna get better at it. But it is not, I don't know whoever told y'all playing safety is easy in this mode. It ain't easy. It is not. I'm sure quarterback is probably the hardest. Maybe cornerback might be the hardest because you got to go one-on-one a lot. But safety? Yeah, man, safety ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. So for Solomon to be where he's at right now is it's a testament to how good he's actually gotten and how good my thumbs have gotten. Because, I mean, I am the one at the controls. If I tell him to go left, he goes left. If I tell him to go right, go right. If I tell him to get that yurt, he's going to attempt that yurt. You know, whether he connects or not, he is going to attempt that yurt if I tell him to go for that yurt. Second question, why in the hell has this man not returned a kickoff for a touchdown? Well, after looking at it, there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, let's start with this. Here is Solomon Daniels returning a kickoff for a touchdown. However, this was the Madden Bowl. So this wasn't a sanctioned game. This was just what happens when you play the Madden Bowl. You take the current roster that is within Superstar mode and you play an exhibition game against a computer. As you can see, the field of vision is much wider, right? You have an incredibly wide third-person view of what's going on. When Solomon is returning a kick within a sanctioned game, you are a lot closer. So look at this return right here. You can see how Solomon keeps inching to the left, and that's because you can see everybody who's coming. You can see everybody who's coming. Versus this return, and this is from season 2 against the Eagles in the playoffs, Solomon doesn't see this guy coming because the view is really close. So because Solomon doesn't see him coming, he doesn't make an adjustment. What he should have done is angled himself a little bit more to the left, but he didn't. Had he done so, he probably scores a touchdown, but because he didn't see him, got caught from behind. It is what it is. So that's one reason, and I think it's a very underrated reason. The second reason is obvious. He's not 99 speed. 99 speed would solve some of the issues, but not all of the issues. Speed doesn't solve everything. Solomon Daniels is at default 89 speed. at default. Okay, so every week Solomon is 89 speed. He can go to the performance center, which is something I've shown multiple times. Solomon can go to the performance center, and with a gold trophy performance, he can get 7 points added to any attribute. And if Solomon puts all those attributes on speed, that don't equal 99. So 89 plus 7 is what? Okay, thank you. So that's not 99 speed. And also, another thing about speed, man, kick returning is the smallest thing Solomon has to deal with. A lot of times, the 89 speed works just fine. When Solomon Daniels was getting pick sixes, that wasn't with 96 speed. That wasn't with 94 speed or whatever he would earn that week. Some of that was with 89 speed. It's the 99 acceleration that makes a difference. And Solomon always has 99 acceleration. That's never changed since his rookie year. So speed doesn't answer everything, but it would help. If he had 99 speed, sure. You can't just get your speed up. I know y'all say, get his speed up. Y'all need to get his speed up. He too slow. Get his speed up. I'm telling you right now, the man will never be 99 speed. You can get 7 points added to an attribute with a performance center performance worthy of a gold trophy. It will never equal 10. He can't add 10 to 89 and get 99. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So that's that. Another frequently asked question, what attribute does Solomon use the most? Let me go to the, well, not attributes, but what role does he use the most? Let me go to those roles real quick. So we've got team leader, coverage DB, rookie, mentor, run stopper, and enforcer. And I think Solomon just earned enforcer. So I've never seen that in the game. Well, I guess there's 6. So half of these roles, coverage DB, run stopper, enforcer. Those 3 allow you to affect the offense. So I can take, with enforcer, I think I can make a running back's ball carrier trait decrease. I think that's what you can do. I know with run stopper, you can make the offensive linemen worse at run blocking. Like they just become really bad at run blocking if you like decrease their abilities. Like you have the ability to just make them so bad at it. And then with coverage DB, you can decrease the throwing power and throwing accuracy of a quarterback. Like you can make a quarterback so much worse than they already might be. Like imagine what Solomon could do if he used this role on Vinny Johnson. It'd be really bad, right? Like really, really bad. I don't use those because I think it cheeses the game. I think it makes things too easy and I like a challenge. So I don't even touch them. Solomon's not a rookie, so I don't touch that. Solomon only touches 2 things, and I don't always tell you what it is. 99.9% of the time, it's team leader. And all team leader does is make your defense better. So the reason John Engelberger would have all those sacks, the reason Jarvis Moss would have all those sacks, or Philip Langham would get those interceptions and Dre Bly ended up playing better is because Solomon, I would click team leader and increase the abilities of the people on defense with Solomon Daniels. I would make them better. Mentor only allows you to increase the abilities of the defensive backs on the field, period. So team leader is everybody, defensive linemen, linebackers, whatever. You can increase everybody. Mentor is only your position group. So sometimes, and if it's a situation where it's an obvious passing situation where a team is down and they're gonna try to throw a Hail Mary or get in field goal range to win the game, in that moment, Solomon will go into mentor and then increase the abilities of the defensive backs on the field. Those are the only 2. Nothing else gets touched. So you don't have a game where you have a quarterback like Drew Brees or Donovan McNabb with a lot of, they're accurate, right? And they have throw power. I'm not decreasing Donovan McNabb's throwing power, and I'm not decreasing Drew Brees' accuracy. I'm not going to make Drew Brees just be inaccurate for a game. Like, oh, we're playing Drew Brees, but I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to take his, I think he's like 97 accuracy and like take it down to like 80. Like, that's not, I'm not playing Drew Brees. I'm playing a nerfed version of Drew Brees. When I play Drew Brees and Solomon is on the field against Drew Brees, it's him versus Drew Brees. When Solomon played Peyton Manning twice last season, Peyton Manning wasn't nerfed. That was the Peyton Manning. And that's the reason I was getting so excited when we picked him off in the playoffs. Like, we kept creating turnovers. That was the Peyton Manning that we were doing that against. That wasn't a nerfed version of Peyton Manning. That was the Manning. And that's why it was so, disappointing when we lost. So that's how that works. Let's do our top 5 from the 2011 season. We do a top 5 every single year. The Yayired against Chester Taylor in week 2 against Minnesota. That's number 5. I just love that hit. Solomon came right after him and he laid him out. Number 4, the deflection against Kansas City. That was a huge play on third down. I just love that play. It was so smart. The football IQ was at 1,000. Denver shut out Kansas City that day, and I really thought we were bound for the playoffs, but obviously that didn't work. Forced fumble against Cleveland is number 3. That was against Matthews, a young player. It was a nice welcome to the NFL moment for him. Solomon, he smacked that dude, bro. That was a Yayired and a half. That was a Yayired and a half. Oh, that was so crazy. Number 2, the interception against New England. That play was just, that was Ed Reed-esque. Ed Reed-esque. Solomon was away from his zone to bait the quarterback, and once he did, he just looped around, used his speed, and picked that pass off intended for Wes Welker. That was a great play. It was a Hall of Fame IQ type of play from a 99 overall safety. That's exactly what the Don does. Number 1, I got a 1A and a 1B. They were both against Detroit on Thanksgiving. Solomon firstly flew. This man floated in the air to get this interception. Only his second interception of the season at the time, and a great return. An awesome return. And that game was a classic. I should probably add that to the instant classics, because it was a pretty good game. It came down to the last second, and it was pretty crazy. So that definitely deserves a classic title there, and it was a great interception. But speaking of floating, the hit Solomon put on this brother right here. Solomon sent this man flying out of bounds in front of everybody. His friends, his family, his wife, everybody seen it.
Ooh, that brother's floating in the air. How could his hands do this? Oh, someone get him out the air.
Everybody seen that brother floating in the air. It was crazy. I'm sorry. It was funny, man. It was. When Solomon hits you, you gonna feel it probably for the rest of your life. So what happens now that Solomon is with the defending Super Bowl champions? They got a really good offense. That defense is gonna be elite. I already know that. Defense is going to be elite. Offensively, did lose Tony Gonzalez, did lose Larry Johnson, but they were still, second in scoring, first in total yards. So, they still got the quarterback, still got Dwayne Bowe, still got Darrell Irvin, still got some good pieces, man. I'm anxious to see what they do on offense, and I really hope they don't take a step backwards, because of all the years to take a giant step backwards, it would be the year Solomon joins the dang team. We'll see, though. We will see. The start of the 2012 season is coming up. I am so glad we have reached 100 episodes, and I am so grateful that you have joined me for this journey. I wanted to do something really, really crazy and special. I just couldn't really get it all together, so this was the best I could do. Again, if you have any questions about the series, let me know. Oh, and by the way, one last question to my friends, my actual real life friends that I know. Solomon doesn't have a son, okay? This fan fiction that Solomon Daniels is a deadbeat dad and has abandoned his son that plays at Georgia State. That is fan fiction, okay? It's not canon. Solomon Daniels doesn't have a son. Solomon has a cousin. In another universe, which we will meet him in another series, Solomon Daniels has a cousin who is an athletic freak and plays on the offensive side of the ball. We will be introduced to him at a later time. But Solomon Daniels doesn't have a son. So all them comments that y'all gonna see, Solomon Daniels need to be a good dad. Solomon ain't got no kids, man. He ain't even married. That man keep moving all the time. He in San Francisco, now he in Denver, now he in KC. That man, he ain't got no kids. All right, that's it. It's your boy FiveWarsDeac. One love.